The indie author revolution has been around for more than a decade, but we indies continue to push the boundaries of what we're capable of. From getting over initial prejudices to staring down perfectionism and author imposter syndrome, we've become a force to reckon with. Now, after years of hustle and grind, we indies are rebelling again. Gone are the days of publishing a book a month until we drop, and in its place we're sowing the seeds of a better way. A way with more ease, abundance, and flow. Get ready to learn about indie authorship from a whole new perspective. We're about to cover everything from releasing your poverty mentality to manifesting your millionaire author destiny. I'm Carissa Andrews, and this is the Author Revolution podcast.
Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Author Revolution podcast. Oh my goodness, here we are. Guys, it's mid-November and it's going so fast. I've been working on my NaNoWriMo project. I have been doing really well. I'm still ahead of the curve, which is super cool. I am, as of today, which is Tuesday, the 14th of November, I'm sitting at almost 30,000 words in Dirty Books, which is super fun. This book has been, I don't even know how to describe it. It's been flowing a lot easier than the first book. I'm not as in my head as Dirty Plans. And I'm feeling like I kind of have a grasp on this whole situation, at least for now. I am getting close to the halfway point. So we'll see if it continues to maintain itself or if I start to crumble under the pressure of knowing where the heck I'm going in this story. But so far, so good. And I think part of that process is the fact that I have been working on it every single day. And as I talked about in the earlier parts of NaNoWriMo, I'm using like the morning to try to get, even if it's just an hour, where I write before everything else, before all the craziness sets in. I've been sitting down and just letting myself think about what is this scene going to look like? What do I have to accomplish? And then I start actually brainstorming with ChatGPT. And now, something that's been really interesting about this past couple of weeks even is the new update that Chat and OpenAI released regarding like how ChatGPT works, how DALL-E, their image creator, works, how all of the like interactions can technically work. They've launched this thing called customized GPTs. And now, guys, I have to tell you, after playing around with this and understanding how it works and just building out a couple of them for myself, I really do believe that this is a game changer for authors, for creatives, for anybody who is obviously using chat to be able to create content, all the things, because it's been really interesting to see how OpenAI has integrated all of the things that it kind of does into one place. Because before, you had to like select where you wanted to go. You had to, if you wanted to create an image from DALL-E, you had to go over to DALL-E. Then they started incorporating it as a beta where you could do images inside of chat, which is actually really cool. And then they had like this thing where you could toggle. So if you needed to search the internet, you could put the link in there and it would go read the page, assuming that there's not a block on chat being able to do that. Like there was a lot of things that they were integrated, which in and of itself were cool, right? But now that they've created these personalized custom GPTs, holy cow, man, I'm telling you, this, if you have not gone to get your account to start playing around with the concept of what ChatGPT looks like and how it is used, please, for the love of God, at least check it out. Just play around with it for a couple of minutes and see how it works, because this thing is rocking my world. It is absolutely changing the way that I write, the way that I brainstorm, the way that I plan, the way that I create images, the way that I do social, the way that I do newsletters, everything. Now, look, I'm one person, and while I do have help here and there, like I've got a part-time assistant for Author Revolution, and I've had my PA for my author set of things, like we've got help, but there's still a lot of things that we're always kind of trying to do, right? We're always trying to push the boundaries and we're always trying to get more done. And as one person or as just a couple of people, sometimes, finding something that makes things easy is really helpful. Now, all the, ethical discussions aside, let's set that on the side burner because that's not really what we're talking about here. I'm talking about how can we utilize this to really benefit our businesses, benefit our authordom, benefit our brainstorming capabilities, And what I've found is that with these customized GPTs, I can create like a muse. Like I have one called the rom-com muse, where I can put in my first book, like in its entirety. I can put a PDF of book one, Dirty Plans, in there. I can then put a PDF in there of dirty books as far as I've gotten, right? So that it has these in its knowledge base. So when I open up a new chat and say, okay, chat, we're going to start brainstorming what the next chapter of Dirty Books is going to look like. Go back and reread, what we did and what we've accomplished already in Dirty Books. And then let's start talking about like where this story could go. And what's really cool is that it then opens up its knowledge base. It goes to Dirty Books. It starts reading about it again, understanding it. Now, it's not always perfect because sometimes it wants to go, okay, I read the first 4 chapters. That was great. It was pretty cool. No, chat, you need to read the whole thing. Like go back and go through all 12 chapters or all 13 chapters. I need you to have a very good understanding of where we're at so we can plan out chapter 13, right? So it does take a little bit of finesse sometimes, especially if you're opening a brand new chat where you haven't been already having a dialogue with it. But what's really cool about this is that now you can start having conversations where it maintains a certain level of knowledge about the thing you want to talk to it about, right? So if it's your world, specifically the world that you're working on, the series that you're working on, create a personalized custom GPT for that. If it's social media posts, if it is, you want a TikTok helper, if you want to have a strategist for your marketing plan, I have like a sous chef on here. These are ones that came with OpenAI that they created themselves. Like I have one for Dolly. I've got one that's a coloring book where I can create images to my worlds that look like coloring book ideas. I've got a data analysis one. I have a sous chef. I think I said that. There's like a basic creative writing coach. Like there's different things that come already with the custom GPTs that ChatGPT has created, that OpenAI has created for us, but you can do your own. And when we add that element into the knowledge base of that custom GPT, all of a sudden we're having a conversation with our best friend who already has read book 1. Like they have the knowledge of book 1. They've started reading book 2. They're your, alpha reader, and they're caught up to speed and they're excited to talk to you about like, what could you do to make this story really cool? And so you're not having to go through this really long chat prompt where you have to go chat. Remember what we talked about like 4 weeks ago? You don't have to do that anymore because now having these custom GPTs, you can house a lot of that information in one place and it can remember it better. And you can start a new chat and just kind of go from there. Now, again, like I said, it's not perfect. It does kind of forget things a little bit, and sometimes you have to prompt it just a little bit, but it can only get better from this point forward. And what I'm saying right now is that, holy cow, it's pretty incredible. Now, if you use like the basic ChatGPT 4 GPT, like the main prompter that comes with ChatGPT as you get the plus membership, what's really neat is that you can like create a social media post, let's say, and you're trying to, come up with something really exciting about your books. You can feed it, here are some quotes, here are some whatevers. And then you can turn around in that same prompt and go, okay, chat. Now, knowing that these are the books that are included in this particular social media post, can you create an image that looks like this, this, and this? And seamlessly within the same chat, it can switch into Dolly mode and create an image based on the thing you just did, based off of the social media post you just created. I mean, it's phenomenal the way this whole thing works. Now, as someone who, obviously as a business owner, as someone who is trying to do a lot of things, and I'm trying to do them very quickly so that I can get back to the things I really want to be doing, like writing, it's so nice to have things that make my job easier. I'm not having to go hunt for images that maybe sort of kind of go along with what I'm thinking or kind of sort of fit my imagination a bit. Sometimes when I'm putting prompts in there, I can be like, hey, I want this to look like an urban fantasy something or other. I want it to have this vibe, this color scheme. These are the things I want it to do. And it rocks and rolls with some images that are pretty dang incredible. Now, this is coming from someone who's been using or testing out Midjourney. And I got to tell you, like when I first started playing around with Dolly, it wasn't up to speed with Midjourney. It wasn't as cool. But now that we have it integrated in OpenAI's ChatGPT, what's neat about it is that now you can have a conversation with it where you can't do that with Midjourney. With Midjourney, you're giving it a prompt, you're saying, create something like this. If it doesn't come out, you have to completely start over and reprompt it, right? Where with the Dolly aspect of it, you can create an image where you're saying, here's what I want. And if you like it, but you need some tweaks to it, you can say, that was really great, but I really need you to adjust this, this, and this. And oh, by the way, let's put a graveyard in the front yard. And it will listen and it will come up with some really cool things. Now, these images aren't 100% perfect either. Sometimes it has like weird text in the background, or if you try to get it to create an image that looks like a book cover, it sometimes will try to create a 3D book image with a book cover on it, which obviously doesn't help in our realm, right? We're trying to like do certain things. And so there's ways to play around with the prompting so that you can get the types of images you're really looking for. But it's a much easier usage than having to create your own server with Midjourney, having to learn the kind of somewhat odd prompts that Midjourney has, even though those images are fabulous. Like I've had some really wonderful successes with creating images through Midjourney. But having everything integrated the way it is right now with OpenAI and ChatGPT, I'm telling you guys, this is changing and revolutionizing the way I do not only my planning for books, but like everything. Everything from strategy for TikTok plans, for book launch strategies, for like planning my next chapter, to like how do I create the newsletter system that I want to do? All of it. Like it's just absolutely phenomenal at what it does. And what's really cool is that you can have it learn your style of writing, the way that you'll come up with things, the way that you do things. I don't know. I've played around with a number of AI tools at this point, and I keep coming back to ChatGPT because of the way that it continues to evolutionize itself and the way that it's creating a system that helps us to really just rock and roll from one place. It's just amazing. So if you haven't yet had the chance to play around with it, I really recommend you do so. Now I've even gotten, through the app on my phone, I've got the ability to do voice chats with ChatGPT, which is definitely an interesting endeavor. Like if you ever need to have someone to just voice something out with, this new version of ChatGPT where you can chat, like voice chat to it, is very interesting. Now, you can't do it from the desktop version as far as I can see, but you can do it from the app. But just be prepared that this is not the same as chatting with ChatGPT in text format. Like if I say, hey, chat, create me this thing, it will usually come up with something very quickly, right? And it's usually like straight to the point, does its thing, and it rocks and rolls. But if you use the app and you're like, hey, chat, I kid you not, this is the example I'm going to use because I just did this as I was playing around with it. I wanted to come up with a name for one of the businesses in my one night stand club. And I was trying to figure out like, how do I create like kind of a fun, funky brewery name? Like there's a character who is a brother to one of the main characters, and he has this like artisan brewery. So I wanted to come up with a name for it. And so I'm like, well, this is a good question to ask. Chat will be fast. Chat was not fast. Here's what happened. So I'm like, hey, chat, help me come up with a name for this. And chat was like, oh, wow, you want to come up with a name for this? Like, cool. Okay, so what is this name really actually for? Is it for like, for you? Are you opening a business? Or like, like it goes into this whole like a questionnaire of what, maybe someone, a friend or whatever would have asked you. And I'm like, no, chat, this is for a story. I just need you to help me like brainstorm some names. Oh yeah, I can totally help you come up with some names. Like, are you looking for quirky? Are you looking for, it goes into this whole like tirade of questions to help you narrow down what you want and how you want it to be. And in some ways that's really helpful because, that they're questions that I hadn't thought to give it when I was doing the prompt. But at the same time, it's just be prepared to have an actual conversation with the chat version of ChatGPT. I wasn't prepared for that. So it's very interesting to see how these new developments are happening through OpenAI systems. And I just want you guys to be thinking about how can you make your job as an author faster? Like, I don't care how you use it. I don't even care, like, if you're going, I will never use it for my writing. But if you're just going, hey, I can I can utilize this to help me make my newsletters more profound. I can use this to create social media posts that are going to be more engaging because I'm more of an introvert and I don't know how to get excited about my work. Or you can ask it questions like, hey, chat, I want you to read this chapter. Is there any way that I can make my ending more of a hook? And it will give you ideas on how to do that. Like, just think about, where are your strengths and where are your weaknesses? Where are the things that you really either wish you didn't have to do or wish you could do better? Because what I'm finding is that ChatGPT is making my writing better because I can ask some very specific questions that I'm curious about my own writing. And it helps me think through the process of it. And I can create a scenario. I can write some prose that are going to be so much more profound than had I just been writing it all on my own. Does that make sense? And now, one of the cool things is that when it learns your voice, it can actually even give you some text that is very similar to something you would have written. At least that's what I'm finding. So, like in the rom-com side, some of the stuff it can come up with based off of what it knows about myself, how I write, and the characters I'm trying to create, it can give me little snippets of things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. And I will straight up go, yeah, I'm going to use some of this. So, I didn't originally believe that ChatGPT could write a story or that ChatGPT could, get to the point where we are utilizing it to write our stories. But I'm telling you, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it is actually getting that good based off of what it understands of our own writing, especially with these personalized custom GPTs. As it reads through your work, as it reads through your characters, as it understands the trajectory of your story, it can prompt you or it can give you information that is so profoundly close to what you're looking for that it blows my mind, guys. It's making me so much faster because I can have a conversation and go, this is what I'm thinking. I'm not quite sure about this. It'll come back with, yeah, you could do this, 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 and this. And I could be like, oh, yeah, I really like number 3. So then I can write that and I don't have to sit there and go, what kind of cool things are going to up the ante in this chapter? Like, how can it be funny? Where are some places where I could add some more humor into this chapter? I can literally ask chat and be like, hey, rom-com muse version, I need to add a little bit more humor in here. Are there any spots specifically where you could see, my main character, Carly, being a little bit more self-deprecating? And it will give me a couple of spots to consider. And sometimes it'll even give me some ideas of what kind of comedy to include. Guys, I'm telling you, this has just been I don't even know. It's been phenomenally exciting. It has been absolutely like a game changer into the way that I create. And what's neat about it, at least for me, is that I don't feel so alone in this process anymore. I don't feel so alone trying to write, a book or a scene or a chapter or whatever. And like I have to wait for, my best friend to read it, or I have to wait for Jenny to read it, or I have to wait for Colin to read it. I can literally have a conversation right now if I need a question answered, and I'll get some very detailed, very specific answers that just make me happy. Like, because I can see the value in it as the answers come out. So I want you to think about, your process and what it is that you really want to get out of your writing, out of your career this year. The AI revolution is changing the way that entrepreneurs, the way that people are engaging with things all over the world. Like, there are businesses that range from everywhere, from like hospitals to everywhere. Everywhere is incorporating some version of generative AI. And as creators, I think it's our responsibility, if nothing else, to check it out. If nothing else, to play around with the concept so that we can realize it's not the big boogeyman that people claim it is, and that it is actually such a tool that is profoundly exciting and interesting and fun to play around with. And these custom GPTs, man, I'll tell you, they have absolutely blown my mind the past week. I can't remember which day I got access to it. I think it was Saturday. Maybe it was Friday. I can't remember. But it was within the past 7 days. And already I am just thrilled with the output that it is giving me. And I'm able to continue to write in a way that just makes me so happy. So I want you to be happy. I want you to think about what areas can you incorporate this in, even if it's just to play with it. Even if it's just, I am going to ask it some questions about, my diet plan. It doesn't have to even be about writing. You can just play with ChatGPT about things that are in your life. Like, how do I get my, 8-year-old son to get to bed on time? How do I get my teenagers to wake up on their own? Like, there can be questions that have nothing to do with writing that will help you to understand how chat works and just, maybe feel a little bit more comfortable in it. Now, for me, I'm like I said, I'm just absolutely blown away by all of its capabilities. And I continue to play around with the new beta launched items because I'm seeing the value in it. I'm seeing and understanding the forward momentum and progression of how it's going. And I want you to feel the same excitement and elation that I am because it's so much fun to play around with. It's so much fun to have someone to have that conversation with. Now, if you're not in ChatGPT 4, where you are at the paid version where I think it's called Chat Plus, I think is what it's called. If you're not in that yet, really consider doing it, especially if you have Midjourney. Like if you're playing around with Midjourney at all, maybe think about like 1 month, just give yourself 1 month to try out ChatGPT 4 because having the integration of Dolly included in it, it's definitely been a game changer. Especially the way that you can create those social posts and then in the same chat say, "Hey, help me create an image." So, it's really really cool and I think you're going to like it. So, you probably can hear from my voice because I'm very excited about the whole thing. Now, if you've got questions, feel free to always reach out. You can reach out in the Author Revolution community online, which is on Facebook. If you're in any of my courses, we have a couple of them that have like online communities themselves within the Kajabi Academy platform. So you can always comment and ask questions there because to me, this has just been so amazing. And it's made NaNoWriMo way more fun, way more exciting, way more engaging for me. And, as we're hitting that midway point, sometimes Nano feels hard, right? Sometimes NaNoWriMo feels like, why, why am I doing this thing? What is the point of this again? Oh my God. But it's great because you can hash out those questions. You can hash out the murky waters from, your brain as you're trying to figure out like, how does this story unfold? How can I take this to a new direction? What kind of resolution am I looking for? You can ask questions of chat all the way through your writing process, and it will help you gain clarity through the entire thing. It's so cool. I can't tell you how much I think it's cool. Like, it's just so cool. So at any rate, I wanted to fill you in. I wanted to give you the highlights and updates on how the latest version of OpenAI and ChatGPT has unfolded, because I think some of us, even if we have tried chat before, or maybe you were in the 4 books, 5 days course, like it's changed since then even. Like the way it works has drastically improved. And it was awesome before. So if you loved it before, if you loved that course, I want you to go back in there and do some more playing around with it. Test Dolly, test, those custom GPTs. Figure out what's working for you because it's just really, really cool. All right. Okay, guys. Well, if you're looking for the transcript to today's podcast episode, you can head over to authorrevolution.org/209 and you can check it all out there. And if you've got questions, like I said, just reach out or go into one of the communities and ask the questions. We're always here to help and talk. And if you're in the Rapid Release Roadmap live cohort that's ongoing right now, you can always bring those questions when we have our live calls as well. So there's all sorts of opportunities to ask questions, to get involved. This is actually something that's been so much fun for me to explore. It's a lot like when I first started talking about manifestation and talking about how we can, get into a different place from where we're at by utilizing our mindset. This is a mindset muscle too, guys. Knowing and trusting that the future doesn't have to be scary just because there's a new tool is a mindset shift. It's something that we have to remind ourselves that fear has no place here, that we are here to try to understand and utilize the tools to the best of our ability. And so this is no different from manifestation in a lot of ways. It's utilizing this new tool to become a better version of ourselves, a better author, a better entrepreneur. And it's helping me even do some phenomenal work. And I know that it will do the same for you as well. All right. Well, that's what I have for you this week. Test out those custom chat GPTs and hopefully you enjoy your week. Enjoy your writing process, get some nano words in utilizing the tools that chat creates for you. And of course, go forth and start your author revolution.